Well, it's the end of summer. How do you feel about that, Nick?
It was a summer I'll never forget, girl.
Same, unfortunately. Yeah, so.
Hey guys, it's your favorite final boy and girl, Emily and Nick, with your favorite final babysitter, Mike, coming at you with a new episode of Gag Me with a Knife, a weekly podcast where we dissect, disembowel, and shred the best and worst slasher movies. It's the end of summer, so we'll be saying goodbye to discussing the end of Summer Slasher from 1982's Death Scream, also known as House of Death, which I prefer. Usually, as usual, Emily's got that VHS. Dude. So buy your ticket to that fucking carnival, and let's hear what the back of that box says.
Before I do that, I'm going to give a shout out to our new Patreon member, Dennis Smith. So thank you.
Hell yeah, Dennis.
Thanks, man.
All right. In this house, all you hear are screams of death. What better way to celebrate the end of summer in a quiet little town than with carnivals, bonfires, and parties by the lake? A deranged killer excluded from the festivities as a child... Okay, has found a better way in an abandoned house with a razor-sharp machete, slicing childhood, quote-unquote, friends to ribbons. The blade is being sharpened again as a group of college students plan a party in that same little town, in that same abandoned house. Join them if you dare. 1982. Okay, none of that was correct, but okay.
It's like there's more information on the box than in the movie.
There's more, but
Yeah,
it's not
totally.
correct. He wasn't childhood friends.
I mean, they knew each other. They were all in the small town of Shelby, North Carolina.
True. So I guess get us going. It's, by the way, an hour and 28 minutes. Too long. But go on.
The whole entirety of the movie is too long.
It seemed like it could have been longer.
It ran for an hour and 28 minutes too long.
Yeah, well, I think a slasher should not be over an hour and 15
But you're
minutes.
thinking this movie should be exactly zero amount of time.
No, I just think it's too long.
Okay,
The
sorry,
movie that
I
did
must have
not exist.
misunderstood. This one should have not existed.
No, I just think it was too long.
We'll
but-
get into all that later.
I agree with you.
I mean,
So
but there were ways that it should have been longer.
Like show some blood.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so get us going.
Okay, so we get a shot of the full moon and some railroad tracks. And then we hear some sex sounds while we see a waterfall. And we find out that Angie and Ted are having some motorcycle sex.
Yeah, dude.
And they're going to use a train coming by, I'm guessing,
To
to
time
enhance,
it out?
to enhance their orgasms. 'cause
Yeah, I
the
think it's like
shaking
when
from the train.
he comes when the train comes by.
Hopefully they both do, right?
Well,
I was wondering how does this?
okay, to be
That's their
real,
goal.
he should have already gotten her off before.
Yeah.
The chances that they're gonna cut him at the same time are
Ladies first,
yeah.
Well,
unless you're being a
I
jerk.
think they're coming, and the train is coming by, but they, I think, get stabbed.
No, they don't get stabbed.
How do they die?
How do they die? I just see
they're
blood coming out of their
They're
mouth.
both garroted. They're both choked.
At the same time?
Yeah.
That's okay. It's probably not the only
But what are
impossible
they
thing
hooked
that's
up
going to
to?
happen.
train?
The killer has like this leather thing
How
that
did
he
you
has
see
around
that?
their necks.
Yeah, it just happened all
I
the
don't know.
time.
I could see it.
I can see it.
I was watching the YouTube version, so maybe
Well,
it was a different
it was
cut.
Arrow videos like released on Amazon that I watched. So
Should have went with that one. But yeah, I just saw blood leaking from their mouths, and them and the motorcycle fall into the river or lake or whatever it is. And
I think it's a lake or
the credits
creek.
come on, and I really like the effect on the text of the credits, like
I
it does
thought-
the the shaky, spooky
yeah,
60s
but
Dude, the music is awesome.
Ozzy and Harriet kind of thing.
there were at the very end the music got weird, but I liked the music for the most part. But I thought the title sequence went on for a little bit too long. It went on for a while.
Didn't want to leave anyone out.
Well,
But
yeah.
after the titles with the cool effects.
You know who left them out? Everybody after they made this movie. So, I mean, I guess it didn't matter.
Woof. So after the credits, we see some suburbia.
I wouldn't call it suburbia.
It's somewhere.
It's like
okay.
a little fucking town.
There's some people mowing their lawn, and there's houses. That's what I say suburbia about. But then there's these small town storefronts, and there's a sheriff and a county store, like country store, like asking about a certain kid that works there who's missing. We see a kid reading a Batman comic, and
But he's
stealing
looking
a
at
porno, dude.
Hustlers.
This kid
he gets
fucking
caught
rules.
stealing a Hustler.
Yeah,
Fuck
and
yeah, dude.
is it the sheriff or the guy that owns the store that's
It's the
like,
sheriff.
it'll
But,
make
yeah.
you go, that'll make you go blind.
What you doing,
But then
boy?
he fucking
You wanna go
looks at it.
blind? He starts
Yeah.
looking at it until he notices
Well,
Lily.
he's already blind.
Yeah. But yeah, he sees Lily, and she drops apples, and he stops looking at the porno, and they start talking about the missing guy again. He's like, I think the owner of the store is like,
Ted. It's
Wait.
like Ted and Angie.
yeah, Ted. That's right. That motorcycle kid Ted, who's in the river.
Hey, man, maybe it was the girl. Maybe Angie was
No one
the
really
dude.
seems to care about the girl as much as she's like a tag along to like, well, Ted's missing, and then they're like, well, Angie is too. Like, they always have to like add her in.
Yeah.
But
Nobody
then
misses Angie.
It just cuts to a baseball. Like,
Yeah,
game
then
after
it's like
that,
a
yeah.
little league kind of baseball game. We see a guy creeping up.
That's Casey.
He turns out to be Casey.
Yeah. I was like, well, he's not
The
the killer.
half-wit with a heart of gold.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but you don't know that yet. But he's like, I was like, oh, well, he's not the killer.
They joke about him stealing first base, and when he notices them looking at him, he runs off.
Hilariously.
Yeah, like a cartoon.
Yeah. Like, he's like tiptoeing like the Pink Panther.
It's like something out of an Ozzie and Harriet episode.
Oh, ooh, wonder why.
Oh yeah, David Nelson, the director, is one of Ozzie and
He's the
Ozzie and
oldest. He's the
Harriet's-
older brother of Ricky Nelson,
Yeah.
and he was
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
And he was in
What?
That's his
The
claim to fame.
Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Those are his parents, and he directed 3 episodes of the show. Yeah. This was one of his last movies, but
apparently he's in Up in Smoke.
yeah, he is an up. I have all that written down.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
Getting ahead of myself with the
shut
fun
up.
facts.
So yeah, the coach.
the coach says he's
yeah.
going to take Bob and Kathy out for beers.
Bob and Kathy, I think, are like the coaches of the little league teams.
Did you
Yeah,
did you
the
notice
coach's
that scene right
assistants.
before that though? As they're leaving the ball field, where
Where
what's
Bob
that?
falls.
No, the dude's trying to like run off with all the bags and follow the the
Casey?
coach.
That's-
no. But Casey's already dropped his hat, and this guy drops his hat too.
Who, the
and then,
coach?
No, the dude.
Bob?
Bob.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob.
Is there a hat exchange that I missed?
No, he picks
I
up
was
his,
watching
but
this,
there's
that's
like useless footage of like him picking up his hat, and then it cuts back to Casey running back around the building and grabbing his hat that fell off in a previous scene for no fucking reason. Like,
Yeah. So they go out to a restaurant, and Kathy, she cheers and says "L'chaim," because that's the only thing she knows. And
maybe she's Jewish.
and then
Jewess.
like the waitress Ramona, who's also a friend, is hot.
Ramona is hot.
Yeah, man.
She
I
tells,
didn't realize she was the waitress, and I was
Yeah,
like, hot waitress. And then when we see Ramona later, I'm like, oh, Ramona's hot.
Yeah,
They're the
Ramona
same
rules,
person.
man.
She tells them that
Ramona's loose.
she likes to play, and we figure out why later. 'cause
Oh,
of
yeah.
trauma. But like also then they start talking about like Kathy needing to learn moves, but I don't know what moves.
Did you guys notice too that a pitcher of beer in this movie is $2.75?
Oh yeah, I wrote that.
Holy
No,
fuck,
it was
dude.
like $2.75 for all that shit. I was like,
yeah, dude.
okay.
That fucking diner rules. And,
And-
it's got Ramona.
And then it just then we see Lily at the wherever she works. She works at the general store, or
Yeah.
no, she works at the restaurant.
No, Lily works at the general store.
Yeah.
But he's like, "Can you be on time?" And she's like, "No," and I'm also not going to be here
I'm not
tonight.
working tomorrow.
Or
No.
whatever, yeah.
He says, tomorrow, can you be on time? She goes, I'm not working tomorrow.
So she's like, basically, like, "No, I can't."
And then he just
I
goes,
won't-
well, enjoy your weekend.
Bob and Kathy
that
are
was
walking
easy.
home together, and Kathy says something about women are forever superior beings, and she talks him into working the carnival with her.
But I don't ever see him.
Then we
working
see
it.
Bob. Then we see
Just because Bob is a subhumanoid dumbass doesn't and gets suckered into working the carnival.
But he doesn't really. I don't think he ends up.
Well,
Oh,
they're
wants
at the
to,
junk
man.
store, but that we're getting ahead of ourselves again here. So
Back it
this is the
up.
first time we see the bodies floating in the stream. The bodies of Ted and Angie
Yeah.
are floating in the stream.
They're going to be there for a minute,
They're going to
too.
be there for a while.
Yeah. Lily is leaving the store. She has that talk
They
with
might
her
still
boss.
be there, actually.
So Lily,
I don't remember anyone getting them.
No, and I don't think that sheriff was going to find
I just
us.
remember a girl topless screaming around them, and that was
Lily
about it.
is very easy to scare. So she's walking home from the store. She gets scared by an owl hooting.
Oh yeah, it's a really long scene too. That you're supposed to. It's supposed to be building suspense, like something might happen to her, but
She starts walking on railroad tracks and then gets scared by the train coming by.
That's
We see
again. It's like I was
Casey
like I
watching
was starting
her.
to think is the train gonna play more of a part in this movie?
Like-
Seems to be like a reoccurring theme.
We do see Casey watching her and he starts clapping. But she gets home just fine to her grandma
after
who's
about
making
5
apple
minutes,
pies.
and her grandma, by the way, is one of my favorite characters.
She's
She's
probably the
such
best
a
thing about the
fucking
movie.
bitch. She's so funny. She's like,
Dude, that old lady's a fucking cunt.
yeah,
dude.
she's hilarious.
She
But,
sucks.
Like,
She's a mean.
That's not
She's
even
like
like Golden
Sophia.
Girls funny. Like it's just bad.
Lily's like talking about Ted being missing, and Grandma Edna's like, "Oh, who cares?" And she's like, "Don't know, don't care." Okay, and then she starts talking about her ex-boyfriend or her boyfriend, whatever, Matt, who's at like medical school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dog.
And
And
grandma's just like, "Fuck him."
Yeah,
She's
she calls him
total-
like a loser. He'll
Yeah.
never make it. And it's like, fuck this lady. She's clearly negative as fuck and doesn't believe in anyone.
I like
and
her.
she's clearly
She, said,
lonely.
she
and
makes
she's
some
like,
kind of funny fart joke, but I didn't write it down.
Yeah, she's pretty funny in some part, especially with Agnes.
I didn't find that amusing at all.
Well, I mean, I didn't find
we'll
a lot
get,
of this.
we'll get there and I'll elaborate
I
then.
didn't find a lot of this movie
I
amusing.
felt
so
like,
I don't-
never mind. We'll get there.
I mean, it's
I got a lot to say about this bitch.
there was a low bar, I think, for what I was gonna find amusing.
I would hope
at
so
this
for the
point.
crippled granny.
Yeah,
So I think
Jesus.
then we
She
go back
sucks.
to the restaurant.
yeah, and it's Ramona gets scared by a cat.
Yeah, a cat. Well, Ramona
Fucking-
is looking for her boss, and she opens the door. The cat gets out, and she goes and gets the cat. And right when she closes the door after retrieving the cat, there's a knife that like hits the door jamb, but she doesn't notice.
No, that's really all this.
That's
is all for
actually
nothing.
mildly an okay shot. And
Yeah, it looked pretty
No,
good.
well, a lot of these shots aren't terrible. It's just it
there's
didn't-
one later in the movie that's
It's
really
like
good.
I think the whole thing with it's like they threw everything in the kitchen sink in this.
I think that
fucking
this
movie.
production, this is purely speculation, but I think this production ran into some timing issues. Everything probably took way longer than they thought. And by the time they're like running out of time, it's like, oh yeah, all these teenagers are still alive.
Well, I
Yeah,
think what they did
yeah.
was they paced the first of it so slowly. Like, I mean, they had like Lily walking home for 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
And like all this shit, so it was like
It is drawn the
when
fuck
it
out, yeah.
when it got like gets to
Scooby
the
Doo shit.
like real shit, it's like, oh, we'll just like throw in all this all at once, because like we have our first kills at 2 minutes and 33 seconds, and then we don't have another one for 21 minutes, which isn't that bad, but
It's pretty rough.
yeah, I mean, not as bad as 52 minutes or 50 minutes. Like
No,
in,
but at least that
Just
movie
Before
was
Yawn.
focused. Like there wasn't just jumping all over the place. And Just Before Dawn,
Yeah, but
like there's a lot of time that goes by, but it actually has something
I
to do
didn't
with
think.
the story.
But, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I understood what was going
Just
on.
Before
in this
Dawn
movie.
had George
They didn't have to
Kennedy.
rush everything. How many people died in the last 10 minutes of this movie?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we see one of my favorite childhood games at a carnival, the duck game, where each duck has like a different number and you pick it
Oh
up.
yeah,
and-
yeah.
I couldn't watch the parts where they showed the teacups because that makes me motion sickness. That gives me motion. I was like, fuck that. And it was like an adult bouncy house was in there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and one dude had his shoes on, and everybody knows that's a no-no.
So there's a guy that can't
Everybody
knock over some
fucking
bottles.
knows.
Oh, yeah,
There's
no.
Casey messing with the merry-go-round, like acting like he's gonna hop on, but he doesn't.
said
He
I
just
think
runs
I
from the
like Grandma
coach.
knows.
The coach is like, "Hey, Casey," and Casey goes running off again. Then we
He's
see
skittish.
Bobby's in love now.
well, we see the kiss booth, and
yeah.
she's giving these kisses to these
Who?
little kids. Some character that's just a gag.
Oh, okay.
So
I
there's a
didn't-
blonde
I
at the
missed-
kiss
I
booth,
missed
and
this.
it's like 10 cents per kiss. And then some biker guy comes over and she changes it to $5.
Oh yeah, and
thought
he's
that
a
was kinda-
biker dude on a cane or whatever.
We see Bob
Yeah, I
and
just
Kathy at the
missed that.
junk shop, and Bobby's fondling her under the table when the sheriff comes up. And when the sheriff leaves shortly after,
Oh, he smells
he confesses
weed.
his love.
No. This
you're-
is with Bobby.
Oh,
this is Bobby.
oh, okay. No, yeah, I did write Bobby's.
We're
in
about
love
to
and
meet the
then
rest of the gang.
Okay,
He
but you see,
This is
Lily's
with
yeah,
this is
okay.
with Bobby and the girl who doesn't want anyone to know
Kathy.
she's a Jew.
Hey.
She's got blonde hair.
She let the
Oh,
coach and
L'Chaim.
him know,
L'Chaim.
but nobody else.
But we do, after Bobby confesses his love to Kathy, we see the gang for the first time at the strongman bell, you know, where you hit you're trying to get the bell to ring because you're strong.
The hammer, ring
and
that
we
bell.
got the nerdy goof Diddle, who has great impressions during the whole movie. This is where he busts out his preacher, his southern preacher voice.
Man, this guy sucks.
So he can't do it. And I guess Sandy, his hot girlfriend, does get it. She hits it first time. And the guys are like, hey, is this thing rigged? And the guy's like, no. And then he hits the switch. It is rigged. All the games are rigged at these fairs. The fair's coming soon. You guys excited? In the summer, you know that means the fair.
I'm not going to go.
I couldn't care less.
Joan Jett's playing.
I don't care. The only year that I wanted to see, the only year I wanted to see anybody was Boyz II Men, and
What about Dumb Thugs?
I've seen them,
Oh.
but I wanted to see Boyz II Men, and I had just broken my ankle, so I couldn't
Anyway, stay gagged on.
Stay gagged on footlong corn dogs.
Stay gagged on,
we're
on
getting
the Valley
to
Fair.
Grandma though, because the next thing I wrote is Lily stuck with Grandma, and then I said I think I like Grandma the best. Hilarious.
No.
So fuck off, Nick.
Dude, no. She is a sour cup of cunt.
Yeah,
Like, she
she's
sucks.
fucking
And no,
bad.
she's not funny at all. She's mean and
Okay.
sour.
So we see another shot of the bodies in the river, and then I have written down old ladies bullshitting.
Yeah, well,
Because Agnes and Edna
comes
are
up and
cutting up.
Grandma's like, I don't need help, and
We
I'm
found
like,
out later that Agnes is Casey's
mom and the sheriff's wife. The sheriff is Casey's dad.
Wait,
But
the sheriff's Casey's dad?
yeah,
Are you fucking kidding me?
you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, she talks to him on the phone.
I mean, I just thought it was
Well,
in the
no,
South,
that's-
so
I
everybody
didn't
calls each
catch
other
that either.
sweetheart.
Yeah, that's her. When Agnes
Okay,
calls
well,
him
that
later.
makes the ending a little more emotionally impactful.
Yeah, if you understand that was his body.
I thought he
We're
was just
getting
calling her
ahead of
sweetheart
ourselves.
because they're in the South.
No, that's her husband.
Okay, yeah.
But
Oh,
Agnes
Agnes
is
and
like,
Edna.
Edna says, I don't need your help. And I was like, well, in fact, you do need help because Lily is fucking pushing you in a wheelchair. So you do need help. But then.
No, it's respect.
And then Agnes starts talking about Casey. That's when we find out that Agnes is Casey's mom. And then she does end up helping Edna because she starts pushing her wheelchair. And.
Then they start talking about gambling and run off.
Yeah. But Lily's still, like, with them at the time.
Yeah.
And
But
that's when
this
you
is
cut
when the
to
gang is smoking a joint behind
Well, the
one
gang
of the
is not
tents.
smoking a joint. There are two guys. I think it's
Walker
Tom and Walker.
Walker and Tom.
Yeah.
In broad daylight, too.
Yeah, but they're behind like a stand. So
Yeah,
it's
and in front of everything else.
And then the
Like,
sheriff comes up and he says, I smell that smell
and he
that
says
makes me happy.
that he
He's
says the
being
smell
really
has
weird.
the smell has a queer effect on him.
Doesn't it all? Doesn't it to
Well,
us all?
he
you know?
uses
Like, come on.
he uses the term queer in like, a weird
Oh.
smell like, but. So I was like, well, maybe
I
they
don't know.
maybe
He's
they
pretty
won't
redneck. I don't know
maybe
if
they
he
won't
does.
make homophobic slurs. But then in like 5 minutes, they use the word queer again, but they use it in
I think
that
it's
way.
also used again by Ramona when...
Yeah, she does.
Yeah,
I wrote it down. Yeah, but so yeah.
Walker eats the joint, it turns out. Walker
And,
eats the joint.
but he is the sheriff is asking about Ted and Angie, and I was like, well, thank God we finally have a movie where they're not just talking about like they don't. Remember in Fatal Games, like no one seems to give a shit that these people are like these kids are missing. They just like kind of the only one that cares is Annie.
That's a lot of the movies we do.
But like in this,
nobody really cares about
but in
certain
this
people.
one, like the sheriff is actually going around being like, "Have you seen them?"
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
at least gives like some kind of shit. But and then Ramona, he's like rude to Ramona. It's like you never get tired of sex.
Yeah,
or
she is
something.
riven.
No, he
Or
just
he
calls
gets-
her a whore.
Yeah.
He rips
Well,
her.
there's no good reason to do this.
So,
but
so
you
does
find
this
out.
lead you to believe that the
but you-
sheriff's had her too?
No, you find out why he doesn't like Ramona later because of Casey.
Did she do
And the
Casey
other
wrong?
son.
He was driving the car when he got in the wreck. He blames Ramona.
Wait, does Casey have a dead brother, or was our car crash what messed
The car
Casey
crash
up?
is what gave
I
him a
must
learning
have watched a
disability.
fucking different cut.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of this. Okay,
It's
we'll get there.
later.
Okay, so Walker eats the joint. Sandy gets pissed. The coach starts flirting with some girl at a booth, and she gives him a brownie.
Yeah, that's Sarah, who is the coach's ex. He's not flirting with her. That's his ex-girlfriend.
That's his ex-girlfriend? How did
Yeah.
you find that out?
Yeah.
because it's.
We watched different versions.
Yeah, I guess so.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because
I just thought he walked up and got a brownie, and this girl really wanted to fuck him.
He was like, I don't want. She was like, do you want a pie? Do you want a piece of cake? Do you want a pie? Do you want a cookie? Do you want this?
No,
And he's like, no.
But then he'll
And
take a brownie.
Finally, he says yes to a brownie, so she'll fucking leave him alone.
But then Bob and Kathy are making out at a picnic table, and the crew shows up. The crew being
right before that,
Dilly,
he starts. The coach
Diddle.
started hitting on Lily.
Yeah, they go for a walk. He invites her.
And when he hits on Lily, you see it cuts to Sarah looking at.
Yeah, you see Sarah looking up.
She's like pissed off. And then I wrote, there are too many fucking people in
We
this
find
movie.
out that the crew is trying to plan a party at the river and then go to the cemetery and tell ghost stories.
And they're inviting
Sandy
the
is
coach.
sucking on a banana like nothing I've ever seen. Did you see
Who?
that? Sandy, Diddle's girlfriend, the blonde one?
Oh, yeah. That's not his girlfriend, but they're like, whatever.
Oh.
But,
I didn't see that either.
You didn't see the banana thing?
No.
yeah, I did.
Did
but
you watch
like,
it on YouTube?
No, watch it. I watched it on the DVD.
Okay. We watched 3 different versions
But,
of this
okay.
On the
movie.
original VHS DVD.
Okay.
So the coach was hitting on Lily though, and then
Yeah.
So, but they're asking the coach also to go to
Wait
this
a minute,
bonfire.
wait a minute. There was a girl doing something with a banana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
you just missed
She's suckling a
it.
banana.
No, I didn't. I sat there and watched it.
It's kind of, when they're sitting there talking about, I don't know.
But
All right.
well, they're
Sorry, I don't mean
asking.
to
So they're
derail
asking the
The quilt
coach.
ladies are back.
They're asking. Well, no. Before that, they are asking the coach to the bonfire, but he's like, I don't know. I'm a teacher, and they're like, I'm like, but that hasn't stopped you before, and also you're hitting on Lily, who is their age. So and they're all in college, but he just used to be their teacher. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
So
but
we have some scenes of a sack slide, where you have a potato sack under and you go under the slide.
Yeah.
And Diddle acts like little kids are going to hit him because he stays on the slide too long. They're in a bounce house. There's a tilt-a-whirl, Emily's favorite teacups. There's a haunted house, shots of a Ferris wheel. The
we
kiss
can
gag
move.
is
We can move on to Sarah now. We can just skip on
Okay.
up. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well,
Well,
she's putting shaving cream on the coach's car.
because she's pissed off.
She
at him.
sees Lily and him talking, where he makes the invite to her because he's been invited by Bob and Kathy to come to this party. But Sarah sees. Wait, no, Casey sees the shaving cream thing happening.
Yeah.
And we see Sarah running, and
She's like going to her car. I
Casey
think.
goes to the haunted house and then leaves it and is acting real weird. Like the haunted house woke something up inside of him. Oh, except that he killed 2 people. Oh, never mind.
He didn't though.
He didn't kill Angie and Ted?
No,
Who killed Angie and Ted?
the same person that killed everybody else.
It's Casey.
That's gotta be.
Casey's
No,
the killer.
no, he's not. The coach is the killer.
The coach is not the killer.
Yes, he is.
Okay, we're getting ahead of
Casey,
ourselves again.
Casey dies. Casey's the body that falls in the coach's house.
Did we all watch different cuts of this movie?
It's confusing.
Wait. So what
That
you're
was
saying is
Casey's-
when I thought the coach was getting killed,
That was Casey.
it was Casey getting killed by the coach.
Yes, and the
And
the coach's
That's
mom.
why it looked like the coach that falls out of the window and gets his head blown off.
Yes, that's because he is the killer. He comes in being like, "You're a slut, just like my mom." They talk about how his mom was a whore.
Whose mom? Who
The
was
coach.
the coach's mom?
At one point, I'll when I get
Okay.
to it. Yeah,
This is the first time this has happened, where we're all just on 3 different pages here.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Casey's not the fucking killer?
No,
What?
What is
No.
this movie called House of Death or Death Legs?
I watched
No.
Death
What
is
Screams.
this?
no. I promise you all watch the same
Death
thing. It's just
sex?
it's really confusing though because they
Okay.
don't explain it. But
This is a first for my run on this
well,
show so
not
far.
only did I go through the kill count, watch the movie, but I also read the Wikipedia, so I know that my version's correct. So-
Gotcha.
But
Okay,
we're at
so-
Sarah. We're at Sarah's.
Sarah. Okay. Sarah gets. Wait, are we already at the.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like Cupid has shot Sarah with a fucking arrow from a cloud because the arrow lands like
Right in her
down.
shoulder.
Somebody would have had to be like directly above her to get that shot.
I did like the blood on her that like by the time she gets because she runs down. I was like, God, this carnival cleared out pretty fast because there's like no
I think
one
it's
there.
a different merry-go-round.
But she goes to like a carousel, yeah, but by that time she has a bunch of blood like all over, which I thought was
So
cool.
she's just sitting there kind of pondering
But she decides
how she
to get
could
on
have
a-
shot
on a
by the
fucking
arrow.
horse
She just
at
sits
the
there
yeah.
and it starts going. And when it starts going a little faster, somebody suffocates her with a bag.
Yeah, but she got shot in the shoulder with an arrow, ran away for a little while. It's
Sat
still,
on a
it's still
horse on a
daytime. Got
carousel.
on a carousel and just was like, okay, I don't need to seek help.
And then got Black Christmas killed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
It made no sense.
I can't imagine how that.
So before
felt
that,
or
why did she
whatever,
have those cards tied to her leg with a bandana? At some point when she drinks out of the water fountain, before she gets shot with arrows, she's sitting.
Maybe she was also doing
down.
magic tricks at the carnival.
Is she a
I don't
tarot
know.
reader?
I don't know. But it cuts to Casey.
She throws a
and
mean tarot.
This is the first time we hear something about Casey. He's like playing with
Casey's playing with trains.
And this is when we figure out that he's learning disabled.
Agnes is his mama.
And Agnes comes in. She's talking to him, and
He tells her about Sarah.
he says
He's trying to.
Yeah,
this
he's
scene
trying
is
to say
kind
that
of really sweet.
it is, and he's like, no one should hurt somebody, and he says no one should goop. Something about goop in his car, and
Yeah.
she's trying to explain.
She
No, you
brings up
shouldn't hurt people. You
stealing
shouldn't
his
steal
stuff.
things. And so, but Casey saw. So he says something leading you to believe that he saw her get murdered, but he can't verbalize it.
See, I missed that. I thought he was just trying to tell her that.
No, he tells her about the car getting gooped, and then he
Yeah.
says something else about
He does say something
someone
about-
hurting someone, but she thinks he's talking about how he's hurt people by stealing or something.
Yeah.
So he's not really able to get her to understand like what he's
also,
saying.
not to get too smooshy or anything, but it seems like I don't know. This is acting, but Agnes is a good mother.
Yeah.
Like a good
and
mother
also
towards-
she
towards
had to
this stuff,
she had to figure out how to deal with this
Yeah.
pretty quickly because he wasn't always like this. So, and it cuts back to like grandma being a bitch.
I'll say she's a pro.
Yeah, and she's like on Lily's ass about the coach. This is when we find out about the coach's mom, because grandma says that his mom was a common whore, and then
Yeah.
then she
Okay.
starts talking about how like Lily's like, well, my mom, something about her own mother, but then Lily's like, you showed me what love is, and I was like, really? This woman showed you what love is? Like, because you're a really sweet lady, Lily, but like,
she's been talked into going to the party to meet the
yes,
coach.
yeah,
By Kathy and Bob.
yeah.
Why does she get scared on the front porch? She's like about to go
She
inside.
gets scared.
She just
She
gets
just gets
spooked.
scared of everything.
Maybe I just couldn't hear the noises.
But
they
then
were
it gets
hearing.
to the coach's house because Ramona sneaks into his house.
Yeah, Ramona. He's going to he takes a shower. We see somebody comes in. Oh, it's Ramona.
I was like, how does
looking
this
hot.
work out? But he just throws
But
her into the
there's
shower.
a weird cut. Does yours have a weird cut where they're wet all of a sudden?
No, mine the full I watched
real
this for
version.
Yeah,
And the one I watched,
he's like
She's just wet all of a
he
sudden.
threw her in the shower.
Yeah, he tells her to stop.
I
and
missed that.
She tries to like fuck him, and he's like no, and instead he throws her in the shower, and her like bra is like basically see through, so you see like.
Oh yeah, right.
See, I missed the boobs. I missed everything.
What?
And then
On my cut, she
goes.
they're like about to kiss, but then it cuts and she's wet, and he's like, "Get out of here!"
And then he says something about a lifetime of cheap thrills with his mother, and then she calls him a queer.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does.
So
yeah,
then
she does
after
do that.
she-
So there's an indication of his mom being a whore. Also,
so he's
he's like
leaving.
saying like he doesn't like women like that.
She's leaving, and the sheriff runs into her and
And
makes fun of her.
why was he there?
He was saying, and he said something like, "What's wrong, Ramona? Can't get any dick tonight."
I thought he was
yeah,
gonna
he's
get
like
laid
slut
tonight.
shaming her. So this is okay.
No,
now,
he almost like raises a hand to her, man.
well,
Like
this is,
Well,
but you find out
She
why.
makes fun of his, I thought, dead son.
No, she doesn't make fun of him. She said he's slut shaming her, and she's like, I know that you're mad at me because of what happened, but I was not driving. Casey was the one that was driving when we got into that wreck that caused him to be learning disabled, and she refers to him as his son.
Okay,
And
but then we see Agnes
Then
looking
he
for
said,
Casey.
but the sheriff says, "Oh, and you see him having to live like that now," and she's like, "You call what I'm doing living?" So that is referring to her like life being so shitty that
Working
she
at the
like
restaurant?
fucking everybody that moves. I think.
Yeah.
So
So mine didn't have that. either.
yeah, I mean it's not the worst.
So Casey's missing,
No.
and when Agnes calls, I guess her husband
The
at
sheriff,
work, he's
she's-
there, even though he was just talking to Ramona.
Yeah, he's there, and he's like, well, have you looked in the bedrooms?
She calls us his first disappearance in 6 months.
And then she says, well, I looked in the bathroom.
No, she says she looked in the bedrooms, and he's like, look in every room. And I was like, I think that, like, you could, like, she probably will look in every room.
So-
Like, I don't know what the fuck.
Then we cut to the coach. It seems like he's going to
He's
go
getting ready
to
to
the
go to the
party,
bonfire,
but
yeah.
a soccer ball falls on him, and he goes upstairs, and there's somebody killed with a machete off screen.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was Casey and not the coach. I took that to be the coach is getting killed by Casey.
Well, that's because it's really never explained. But yeah, and even when the sheriff finds him, you don't know. But it is Casey that is killed right there, and it's
Holy shit!
yeah. So
I thought it was the coach. Nick, what did you
I didn't
think?
even get that either, man.
No.
Did you see somebody get killed upstairs from the garage?
Well, when
Yeah,
I
but I
was the
couldn't
only
see who
reason
it was.
See who?
the only reason I knew any
And
of
and
that.
honestly, I didn't think it was the coach.
The only reason
thought it
I
was
knew for
Casey.
many of this
Or-
was because of the because I read through it on the Wikipedia afterwards because I was like they didn't really explain this that well, but okay. And also there's just too
There's a
many.
Wikipedia on this movie?
Yeah,
Jesus.
there's like just too many characters.
Okay,
and
so we're at the bonfire.
Wikipedia
now.
on people's cats or some shit?
We're at the bonfire, and
the
Diddle.
camaraderie should be better with this many friends.
Seriously, Diddle
Like-
is swinging on a rope and acting like Tarzan, and Sandy makes fun of him. It seems like all the couples are kind of like Ramona was in a bad mood because
Yeah,
of
she doesn't
her
like
encounter with the
She
coach.
doesn't like
so-
herself today.
Yeah,
So, well,
she's
she
giving
tried to fuck
she's
the
giving
coach so she
Walker a
goes back
hard
to her
time.
boyfriend.
I'm sorry, that's Tom. Walker is
No.
Sheila's boyfriend.
You're right.
Yeah, so
like I said, I always
so
get them
Tom,
mixed
who
up.
looks like a 45-year-old,
He's like 50.
takes her to the side and they start like fucking around. And then there's like really hilarious, funky music playing and Diddle's like dancing.
We cut for a moment for the sheriff at the bar trying to find Ramona. Then Diddle's dancing and silly, and
After,
then he's dancing
after
with,
a whole
with
day
Sandy.
of calling her a slut.
Yeah.
She,
Trying
Sheila
to
brought
find
some
it out.
grass. Sheila brought some grass, so they start twisting up. Ramona says that she has to stay in town when everybody else is going to college, and is bummed out by that.
Then the sheriff- so the sheriff's
Diddle passes out, and then we see Sheriff Avery knocking on the coach's door.
Yeah.
He goes in the garage. He sees blood on the windshield,
And then he sees
a body falls.
A body fall. And
A body falls, and it cuts away from that.
Well, his face, he's very disturbed by this.
Well, wouldn't
it
you if
could be
if
a
a body just fell on us right
Well,
now? Wouldn't
I
you be
know,
like,
but
holy
I mean,
shit?
I'm
I
yeah.
call that shit Tuesday.
So then it
Never
cuts
worked.
back to
You've
the
worked in
party.
kitchens, Mike. You know how it goes.
We come back to the party, and Sandy is pissed off because her boyfriend's or
I don't even know if
her
that's
friend is passed out, and
Yeah.
she's like, "This is supposed to be a party." So she goes back down to the river, and she's gonna go swimming. She starts taking her clothes off to go swimming. So then the version I watch, she's like taking off her shirt, but then it cuts to like her kind of being naked and
Oh,
getting
no,
slapped.
I got all of it.
Full
Yeah,
on tits, and
yeah.
she had really nice,
Yeah. Oh,
nice
yeah, yeah.
tits.
Not on YouTube,
not
guys.
bad, not bad.
If you want
Yeah.
to see Sandy,
Pretty good. Pretty good.
watch a different version than the YouTube.
No. Sandy rules.
So did it show much of her death? Because I just saw like
No.
it's a cut to her
I
being
didn't see
cut.
much
No,
of
it
it.
does-
She
it-
swam with some corpses.
Yeah, no, so when she's swimming Ted and Angie's
Wait,
body.
she actually gets in the water?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Dude, she's like doing all kinds of backstrokes, dude. She even says,
Yeah, she does
"Hey,
a bunch-
Mike,
yeah,
I'm doing this for you."
And then Ted and Angie's body hit her, and
This
then
is not
then
in
it,
the YouTube version.
No. She says, "Hey, Mike, from Gag Me with a Knife. I'm doing this with you. I'm doing this for you."
Hey Sandy.
And then, but after that,
No.
Are you
She-
kidding me?
No. There's a
I'm
bunch
mad.
of tits.
after Ted and Angie hit her, she gets her throat slit, and it's not off screen, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Doesn't she? Is she the one that gets the thing through the throat?
No, it's just like kind of just
Okay.
There, it's just like it doesn't really show it. It's just kind of like blood's there.
So Diddle goes to look for her and then Tom
And then I wrote his
Tom and
I
Walker-
wrote his Tom 50.
yeah, right. Tom and Walker decide to go help, but they run into Bob, Kathy, and Lily looking fine as hell compared to her church clothes. And so much that the Diddle starts making like horny noises, like a fucking Bugs Bunny cartoon.
So, well, okay, by the
and
way...
they give up on the search once they find these other friends.
Yeah, okay, so I think during this part also we can completely just fuck it because when they decide they're going to go to the cemetery, but once they get there, it's literally like 15 minutes of them telling 2 ghost stories.
But okay, so the coach definitely leaves his car there. How does the coach get to
I don't know.
the river where Sandy is?
I don't know, but
Maybe he took the same back path they were talking about. Okay, yeah, we're at Lily's. Well, they go to the cemetery.
And
everybody's doing bad Dracula impressions.
And telling 2 dumb stories, and then it starts to rain.
Diddle has some kind of skull mask. He pops out from behind
yeah,
a
I was like,
tombstone.
where did you get these props?
Maybe he had already stashed it there. That's what I thought.
I did.
But he has them chant, "Oh, what an ass I am."
Yeah, I fast forwarded through some of this because I was like, this is going on too long, and then it started raining.
So Lily tells us I've heard this story before.
The drip story.
The drip story.
The licking the hand.
Where, yeah, the little girl has a dog under her bed, and she'll check on it, and it licks her.
That story always used
but
to
she
scare
can't
the
get rid of
shit
the
out of
drip
me.
sound, so she goes to the bathroom, sees the dog
Dripping
dripping blood.
There's a guy
And there's
licking her
written in
hand.
dog blood on the mirror.
People can
Maniacs like to lick.
Well, in the sort of version I've heard, it's people like to lick, or people can lick too, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was one of the better stupid ghost stories we've heard.
I think
During
it's the scariest one I've heard, and I think it was in that movie Campfire Tales. Maybe I think it was one of the segments in that movie with Christine Taylor.
While she's telling the story, we do see some shots where somebody's obviously outside of the cemetery, like kind of spying on them. But it starts raining, so they run to an old house,
which they call the Kennedy house.
The Kennedy house.
Yeah.
So they get there, and
it's just a shitty
it seemed
abandoned
like
house.
At some point, right when they went in there, you could see somebody was in one of the other rooms of the house. It looked like there was a shadow in the window. So Diddle has to take a shit,
but there's only an outhouse.
Diddle does a good John Wayne impression. He goes to the outhouse. They plan on scaring him.
Okay, so when he's in there though,
he's whistling, singing. He's whistling, singing in the rain.
He says, Mama, I guess I'll tell Mom I lost this. What was he talking about?
I don't know. That was right after the raccoon was in.
No, it's before the raccoon.
Oh, wait. Maybe.
The raccoon scares him.
He wipes his ass with something, and he's going to tell his mom he lost it. What was that?
I guess his underwear.
Yeah.
Did he wipe his ass with his
You've not been a chaste boy, Diddle.
Yeah, but
there's a raccoon jump scare.
Has he already done the monkey by this point, or not?
Oh, he's been done.
No, the dance.
Oh, yeah, that was earlier.
Diddle.
Yeah, that was way earlier.
Right, so.
Diddle and Grandma are probably the best characters.
Yeah.
Fuck both of them. They
you
were
like
the
Diddle,
worst.
man? Come on.
I liked Diddle.
So the crew's sneaking into the outhouse, and when they open the door,
he's
Diddle's
like hanging
strung
upside
up.
down, yeah.
So they carry him in, which is really nice. Like most people would just be like, and run away. They're they
whatever
untie him
his
and bring him inside.
head is in the final terror, they just leave his head in that outhouse.
See Dave or whatever the fuck his name was.
Mike,
so they carry Mike. They carry him in.
No, it's not. Mike Metcalf's his real name. I don't know his name.
Who cares? Whatever. That was like a month ago.
Anyway, yeah, the
so
music.
Walker's like, I'm gonna run for help.
But the music right there is where it's really off-putting. It's like really loud and like fanfare.
I thought the score was ridiculous.
I
in several
liked
places.
the score except for right there.
It's just so. It's like we're gonna have this walking to the car scene just so we can have a nice interlude. But anyway, so Mike runs through the graveyard. Or not Walker runs through the graveyard. He gets to the car. The car won't start.
He's decapitated off screen
with a machete.
Yes.
So Sheila's like, I'm gonna go with him because he's my boyfriend.
Sheila was already chasing him, and he wouldn't wait.
He wouldn't wait.
He was like so far ahead of her.
When she gets to the car, she sees him in the car,
which was really cool.
I guess he was decapitated.
He was decapitated, but they put his head back up,
and it falls off, and she starts screaming. And then Tom's like, I'm gonna follow them. And he finds both of them just laying in pieces outside of the truck.
Yeah, well, both of them have been decapitated.
And so he runs back to warn the others, and he falls into an open grave. And he gets his fingers cut off, and then his hands cut off.
The hand cut off was cool.
It was a good effect.
I like how
the hands kept moving.
Yeah, the hands
was so
kept
good.
moving.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But him falling in that open grave is like, dude, that thing is huge.
But then when it cuts back, they're at the house. They all know something's like
Ramona and Lily are all still at the house.
And Ramona, they're running up the stairs, and
Ramona. First, Bob opens the door, Only to have the killer standing right there in the door. He
That
slams
shot
it.
is fucking awesome.
That was a good.
That is that is like somebody really running towards a door with a fucking machete, and
But
somebody
Kathy
being like,
was
"Oh,
like,
fuck."
I think he's gone. And then he just starts breaking the window.
Yeah.
So they start running up the stairs.
They go up the stairs, and somehow Ramona falls through.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
That fat
what
ass.
happens here?
Oh, she gets her body cut in half.
Yeah.
How did he get down there?
She's stuck. They're trying to pull him
up. The killer
up.
was they were running up the stairs. The
He
killer
went under the stairs.
was in the house. Like, had come in.
But he was just at the window. How did he get into the, like...
He had just come in after, like, Bob closed the door on him.
Yeah,
How
she
did he
must have
get
been stuck
under
for
the
a second.
stairs?
Because the stairs were right there.
But how do you get inside stairs?
You don't... There's... Well, there, a lot of times there'll just be stairs and, like, nothing underneath it. Like, they're only on one side, and there's, like, an
turn and a
underneath.
half. Well... From under the stairs, so they pull
Yeah.
out the top half.
Yeah, but
Again, I got a weird cut on
Fucking
this
poor
one.
Ramona gets ripped in half.
I think my YouTube editor.
That's when you see that it's the coach, because he
See, I
goes...
missed that.
He yells, after he kills her, he screams, "Another slut just like my mama."
See, that was not in the YouTube version.
And then...
They barricade themselves inside a room, and somehow Bob gets
That
stabbed
wasn't in
through
the
the
version I
door.
watched either.
Yeah, Bob gets stabbed, but he's
And I have written down
he's okay.
Casey ? Coach ? It's one of them.
Yeah, it's
He gets
coach.
up. The coach gets up there. Lily acts surprised that it's him, which makes more sense that it's the coach than Casey. She slices his throat right
with
as
a
the
glass
sheriff's
shark,
showing
because
up.
he's like, "Not you." He keeps on being like, "Not you, Lily. Like, you can't be a slut too."
Yeah.
Or something. And so yeah, she
The
slits.
hell I can't.
She slits his throat back. Then
Then he falls through the window,
yeah,
and the sheriff unloads.
the sheriff like is suddenly
unloads
there.
his gun, which explodes his head.
Yeah.
But Casey and the coach
That's
kind
a
of look
great
like each
effect.
other in the dark.
No, they don't.
I thought that was his son that he was killing.
No, he was killing the coach for killing his son, basically. I don't think he really
So
cared about
they
the other
put-
people.
They put Bob in the ambulance. They put Lily in the cop car to take her home. We see 3 more bodies in the river, and the credits roll.
3 more bodies.
I saw three bodies.
What would
They
the
would have
third?
been.
Oh, Sandy.
yeah.
Sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. Kill count 1 and 2 happened at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Angie Maloney, she has a last name, and Ted. She's the only person that has his last name, except for I guess the Averys. It's like Casey Avery, but
There's a Carpenter, Lily Carpenter.
oh yeah. I guess I just didn't. Well, she doesn't die, so she's
Everyone
on the list.
has a last name.
But that's at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. At 39 minutes, Sarah is shot with an arrow and then suffocated with a plastic bag. So that's 21 minutes later. Then at an hour, I'm sorry, that was 37 minutes later. Then at an hour, Casey is killed with a machete off screen, but it's supposed to look like Coach Neal. And then 3 minutes after Casey, we have Sandy. Her throat is slashed. At an hour 17, that's 14 minutes later. Diddle had has his throat cut off screen. Then Walker and Sheila are decapitated within like the same minute. About 2 minutes after Diddle, they're decapitated off screen. And then 2 minutes after that, we have Tom. His hands are chopped off. About a minute after that, Ramona's cut in half. And then
That's the best death in the
about a
movie.
minute after that, we have Neil, Coach Neil, whose throat is cut with a glass shard, and then he's shot by Sheriff Avery. So, there is not a whole lot of trivia besides, like, the crew. Like, some of the crew stuff is interesting, but...
I have a couple notes about the actors. Kathy, the actress that played Kathy, was Tony Curtis's ex-wife. Did you have that one?
What?
I don't have any. I have only some stuff about Lily. And then some of the...
Sandy was in a movie called One-Armed Executioner, which
There
I checked to
were-
check
That
out.
sounds
Coach
awesome.
Marshall was in Maximum Overdrive.
There were a few that were in that movie.
Ted was in Firestarter, Trick or Treat, and King Kong Lives.
Shit.
Ted's one of the guys that get killed at the beginning.
Diddle was in Dogs
He
of
went on
Hell.
to great things.
There were a few
So,
of
yeah,
the people in there that were in
Bob-
Dogs of Hell.
Bob, Grandma, Diddle were all in Dogs of Hell. Casey, the sheriff, and Grandma were all in a movie called Day of Judgment.
That
So
grandmother's
this must have all
in
been the
another
same
fucking
production
movie.
company. But Casey was also in Audrey Rose, The Fury,
Audrey Rose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a Anthony Hopkins movie?
It's the one about a killer little girl or match.
No, it's like possessed little girl. Like
Yeah.
a spirit from one. It's an Anthony Hopkins.
Is Anthony
movie.
Hopkins in that?
So, okay, we already talked about this kind of, but the director is the brother of Ricky Nelson and the son of Ozzie and Harriet Nelson. He was in all of the episodes of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. He was also in Peyton Place, which was a huge movie, Up in Smoke, and Crybaby.
Crybaby was the last movie.
John
yeah.
Waters' film?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he directed 3 episodes of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, among other things. Not that much stuff, but Susan Kiger, who played Lily, was a Playmate of the Month in January 1977, and she was on the cover 3 other times. Her film debut was in a porn.
Hell yeah.
And this I thought was interesting. She was in this movie called The Return with Dorothy Stratton, that Playboy, the Playmate that got murdered. The writer for this movie wrote also, his only other credit for writing was for Dolly, which was Dolly Parton's syndicated weekly country variety series.
Damn.
The composer, Dee Barton, did the music for Play Missy for Me, Every Which Way But Loose, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, and then High Plains Drifter. So
Those are all Clint Eastwood movies, right?
Yeah.
I love that deep part. Every Which Way But Loose with
Yeah.
the orangutan.
So the cinematographer, the makeup artist, and the art director all worked on Final Exam.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
because it's North Carolina.
Yeah. The editor, Jerry Whittingham, did sound effects in Return to the Living Dead. He was the location scout in Hellraiser 3, and he played Sammy in The Dark Power, which is a shitty slasher movie that I really like. But he's like, that's not really like a big character, and I don't even really remember his character at all. So I tried to look into it, but that's all I have. So yeah, stay gagged on.
Are we gonna rate it?
Oh yeah.
Gotta rate.
I'm gonna. Okay,
Emily's trying to get the fuck out of here.
sorry.
Keep getting ahead of
I'm
ourselves.
gonna give it I think I give it 2.5.
Wait, what now?
I give it 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Man, I give it a fucking solid 1.5.
I mean, I could watch it again.
I want to talk
it's
about it for a
pretty-
second. I feel like they had too little time. I think I mentioned that earlier.
They didn't, though. It's that they paced it so
But
poorly
they
at
could
the
have
beginning.
killed a bunch of people at the carnival. They could have killed a bunch of people at
Yeah.
the river. They could have killed a bunch of people at the cemetery.
Yeah,
but we've
it
got to
could
get
have
that
been
haunted
in there,
house
yeah.
in. If they'd killed
It
one
wasn't even
character
haunted. It
at
was just
each of the places,
abandoned. It's just an abandoned
But still, I mean, these are places where a whole slasher will take place, and these people are moving through 5
Yeah.
of these tropey
I
places.
think the main issue was that
The director.
that he paced it so slowly at the beginning. Like he would take 5 minutes for Lily walking home. Nothing's gonna happen to her. She's the final girl.
But none of it was the gore or the kills. Like those are
No,
such afterthoughts.
it was like he was like, I'm gonna do like a suspense movie, and he was like, I'm gonna make a slasher movie, but forgot.
But
And then he was
I
like,
watched
I'm gonna
the
do a
cut
suspense
that had the least
movie.
stuff in it. I could see there being a cut of this movie that was good.
It also
Well,
seems like we
As I give it
watched
2
3 different
stars.
cuts of the movie.
2 stars.
I
We
think
did
ours
it.
were similar. Yours and mine.
Yeah. Mine is definitely online with yours, but even some of the stuff
only
you
thing you
said,
missed
and
was the
I
banana.
watched it last night.
The other issue, though,
It's like some of the stuff you were saying wasn't lining up with the stuff I watched last night.
well,
I was
the
like,
other issue with it, besides the first half of the movie pacing being bad,
I can normally figure out what's happening in a movie. though.
that's the other
You
issue.
blew my
is
mind
that
while we're recording that the coach is the killer. I thought it was Casey this whole time.
No.
I mean,
Since I finished the movie an hour and a half ago.
I ended up understanding it, but I was confirmed when I read the Wikipedia. But it's not.
If you hadn't read it, had not read the Wikipedia, would you think that Casey was the killer?
I knew Casey was. I wouldn't think
Because of the kill count.
No.
No,
At the end of the cut,
I did the kill
fucking
count
saw
after.
it was the coach.
I did the kill count after I watched it, and I read the Wikipedia after I watched it. I was just really confused, and I was like, there was a little bit.
It was Casey.
There was a little bit of information that.
I did think it was kind of weird that they were putting
Casey and
a
Coach.
mentally handicapped person that much on blast. I was like, that's not
Yeah.
a very...
Well, but
Yeah,
Coach Neal, you can tell it's Coach Neal. It doesn't look like Casey. That's too. So I mean,
I was like, Casey looks kind of handsome. Now
I
that
thought
he's
it was.
dead.
I thought that the director was going for this twist where you think that Neil was dead at that point, and when he comes in, you're like, oh shit, that had to have been someone else, but they don't explain that it's Casey enough. So, except for by the way the sheriff acts at the end, but like that doesn't really.
He just shot his son point blank in the head 6 times.
He shot the coach.
Yeah.
So
see, I thought that Ramona was saying there was another brother that got killed because Casey was driving.
No, Ramona's just saying that
this one made me work mentally.
That he
2 stars.
He blamed her for his son having a learning disability now, even though he was the one driving.
Yeah.
But nothing happened to her.
Thank God for Wikipedia.
Yeah, but yeah. So how do you give it 2? 2. You give it 1.5.
Maybe 1.75 really, because I thought this. It had so much going for it as far as like budget and cinematography and locations look cool.
I didn't see a budget.
It was just like Don't Go in the Woods like seemed to have a more focused plot.
Yeah,
and it's just like literally the random killings.
I think you got confused with that one thing, but I don't know, whatever. Stay gagged on slutty moms that turn you into a serial killer, I guess.
Stay gagged on Edna, who's a sour cup of cunt. Copyright Sugar-Free Productions.
Stay gagged on shitty YouTube versions of movies where you don't see the boobs or blood.
I've done it a million times too on this show. Stay gagged on that arrow, that went into whatever her name was, Sarah. Yeah. Or I'd say gagged on half of Ramona. And
hey man, that wouldn't be that bad.
No, I mean, it depends on what. Well, I guess either
Which
half.
Yeah, you could have fun with both.
Yeah.
Lord of mercy.
The top half wasn't talking.
Stay gagged on foot-long corn dogs from the Carnival.
Oh shit! I watched right before I get over here. I watched a lady buy a corn dog from. I watched a lady buy a corn dog from the gas station right before I got over here, and she says, "How old are them?" And it's like, what the fuck? It's a gas
They've been there
station corn
since
dog.
2 p.m., ma'am.
Like, no, I watched the clerk fucking bullshit, and it's like, no, they're fresh. I was like, pro.
Basically, you watched this movie at the gas station.
Unfold.
Yeah.
Corn dog massacre.
Oh yeah, the other fun fact was that real police officers were used at the end.
Oh really?
That's it. That's literally
Sheriff
like all
Avery's
I read on the
backup was
thing.
real.
Yeah. Besides that sheriff, but stay gagged on all of our social media, Instagram, TikTok, Gag Me with a Knife podcast, Twitter, Gag Knife Pod. Become a Patreon member to get early access to episodes, member shout outs, fan requested movies that will come out on the end of the month, and bonus episodes that you will not get to hear on the regular show.
Who was our Patreon member that we were shouting out
today?
This episode?
Dennis Smith.
Dennis
Smith.
Yeah. I believe in you.
I hope. Yeah.
Ballin'.
Dennis.
So yeah. That's all. Go to patreon.com/gagmewithaknife podcast to sign up. And we will see you next time when it's going to be fall.
Fall?
Yeah. It's the end. This is the end of summer, so we're about to go into fall, which wonder what kind of movie we'll do then. Maybe something that's AKA fall break.
Oh.
Yeah.
See you at the fair.
Mr. Soft, turn around and fast forward to watch the things you're going through. Oh, Mr. Soft, believe everything they tell you and be damned if they'll thank you. You paint everything so cruel. Coming on that Mr. Paint your face and shut the gate. No one's coming home till late. Oola, cha. Don't you know life gets tedious enough without this extra crutch to bear? You so slow. Shift your ideas, make your mind up in a jiffy. Let's be fair. We'll all be taken off tonight. Turn off your eyes and shut the lights. Oh, you're the most, you're so unreal. We'd all be dead without your spiel. Oola, take it. play Jesus for a day. And you begin to hear them mumble. Spot the starman, rough and tumble. Fight the good fight, sling your axe. Watch the speaker, lead the packs.